Hey, everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. This is actually a crossover between sports and sports entertainment here, like the ultimate crossover, because we're going to talk about Pat McAfee here. He hasn't been on WWE television in 3 weeks now. Wade Barrett replaced him a few weeks ago on Raw. And then the last 2 weeks, Corey Graves was on commentary. And you noticed a significant uptick in the commentary. Listen, I got nothing against Pat McAfee. I think he's very entertaining. He has his own audience. He brings a lot of exuberance and a lot of energy, and he clearly is a fan. But I think we've reached a ceiling with Pat McAfee when it comes to the commentary desk. I think when he's been gone and Corey Graves has been on commentary, because listen, we remember how the year started, where Corey Graves was really upset that he effectively, I guess you could say, got demoted to NXT, and he's been great on NXT. And then lo and behold, a new renewed push for Corey Graves came in when he called the AAA show Worlds Collide with Conan, and he was universally praised for the job that he did on lead commentary. He's good in a lead position. He's good as a sidecar. He's him and Michael Cole, in my opinion. Like, I like Wade Barrett a lot. Michael Cole and Corey Graves, I think, is the best duo that they have working in professional wrestling in terms of the dynamics that they bring in terms of commentary. Some people will say Vic Joseph and Booker T is a great combination. I think Booker gets way over the top sometimes with his things. It can be entertaining, but again, in the same vein as McAfee, he hams it up a little bit too much for my taste. And you can have, like, entertainment value. Like, you can have Corey has a heel shtick, but there's a limit. And it had become really just to the point of obnoxious. Like Pat would, during the John Cena, this is a little thing with me, during the John Cena heel turn, there was a little bit too much commentary for my taste. You got to let the moment tell itself. The crowd was devastated. Like, Cole on commentary made a ton of sense. Wade got in a few things because he's got a history. Pat didn't need to be yelling the whole fucking time. It's just, there's been moments over the last several, like when he's come back, and like he obviously came back into a more capacity now with Raw being, but he was quoted on his show saying that he's just exhausted. I mean, the guy has 9,000 things to do. And don't forget, come late August, early September, he's going back to College Game Day. So listen, if it's me, I go back to the setup that they had before. Special events, maybe have him come out for a match or two. Maybe you could have him call the whole show if it's like the Royal Rumble or something, or maybe like a WrestleMania. But we need to go back to two-man booths. And to me, they've had two-man booths really on the main roster. And I just think that Pat really became one of those situations where it was taking away from the actual product. And maybe this is the TKO motivated thing, because Pat's very involved in sports. They want to have that crossover appeal. Pat has got a big platform, obviously, with the Pat McAfee show, but he doesn't need to be on television every week. Look, I'd much rather not have Pat be a part of commentary every week, and then every now and again, maybe he's utilized in a guest capacity, and that leads him into doing something physical in the ring, like the Gunther match. And that was a great angle coming out of WrestleMania. That was really well done. But to me, the commentary teams need to be and the other reason why I think Corey Graves should be with Cole is because Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett are so good together on SmackDown. So I would, to me, especially with the way things are going to go moving forward, and there's a chance that maybe they rotate things, and I don't know how they're going to handle SmackDown once football season, because that's going to affect Joe Tess. And maybe he ends up doing Raw, and we'll see if they go back to the setup they did when Raw was still on USA, and USA transitioned to and SmackDown transitioned to USA as well. But to me, and I was thinking about this through Monday, and getting through a little bit of Tuesday here, and just reflecting, and just basically like, man, commentary is a really big deal. I think it's in a lot of ways kind of overlooked. And I understand the meaning of Pat McAfee to Michael Cole. It's seemingly re-energized and rejuvenized. But in a lot of ways, Pat McAfee's starting to be a detriment to Michael Cole. Michael Cole has gotten a little bit ridiculous. And it's like, Commentary can be fun, but when it becomes overbearing, that's when it's a red flag for me. And commentary specifically on Raw has been a little bit of a problem. Um, really, I'd say for most of this year, it's really been a glaring thing once we saw that Corey Graves was not going to be on commentary for either Raw or SmackDown. And he's been great in that NXT booth. But to me, I don't think NXT needs three guys. Like you could keep Vic and Booker there and you could do something there, even though Booker's not my favorite. I have respect for Booker and what he's done in the industry. Not saying that, look at Pat is, it's just, it doesn't, once you get past a certain point, you've got to look past, like, this guy is not a like longtime professional wrestler. He's a fan and he wrestles occasionally. He used to punt in the NFL and he's one of the most famous sports media personalities out there. That's what this is about. And TKO needs to stop doing this. This is, to me, in my mind, this has to be a TKO thing. It can't be a Triple H thing. Triple H loves Corey Graves. Triple H is the one who gave Corey Graves a job in commentary at NXT about 10 or so years ago. So I guess we've kind of come full circle with this situation that, like I said, and it is universally thought of in the fan base that Pat McAfee is just, it's not working. It's not a thing. And especially if he's acknowledging that he is tired and he is worn out and he's going in 2 months, he's going back to College Game Day and he's going to be gone for basically another 3-4 months, maybe 3 to 5 months. He'll be gone, really, because that the college football season really spends from late August all the way into January. So it's really, to me, I would keep him off of television for the rest of the year. That's me. I would go to Corey Graves full time on Raw, and then I'd have the 2-man boots on every single show. And to me, that's the best way to go about this. Because one thing that it's another thing another issue that I have with AEW. AEW has gotten very ridiculous with their commentary. Tony Schiavone, God bless him, he's been in the industry for a long time. He is not good at commentary. He's just not good. Excalibur, I loved his acumen for wrestling, way too over the top. Taz is really, and I love that they've incorporated Ian Riccaboni into things, the ROH commentator, who I think is one of the best in the business. And I'm glad that he's getting some rest. Taz is my guy. I love Taz. I grew up listening to Taz. In my teenage years, watching SmackDown with him and Michael Cole, to me is one of everybody says Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, or not Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross is the best commentary team ever. I think Michael Cole and Taz has an argument. It's very underrated. Like, obviously the standard is always JR and King, but man, like Michael Cole Taz broadcast on SmackDown back in the early 2000s was just great. It was great. And I think I get some vibes of that with Corey Graves and Michael Cole, which is why I'm a huge advocate for that being the move moving forward. So this is going to be interesting to monitor to see what they do on Monday. Cause like, I was like, oh, maybe Pal will be back. And then he wasn't on for a third straight week. And now it's a second straight week for Corey Graves. And Corey Graves has gotten a lot of praise for what he's done in NXT and then what he did at Worlds Collide. So here we are. We're getting to the end of June and, they're going to Saudi Arabia this weekend. Pat's acknowledged on his show that basically I'm worn out. I'm a little bit tired. And that's because he's got his radio show. He's got a bunch of other stuff to do. He's a big time personality. He's very committed to a lot of things. It's a demanding task to have him, do that show 5 days a week. He's got a little one. All due respect to Pat, we have appreciated what you have done. We don't need you every week. And I know some people may be upset about that, but I know a large chunk of the wrestling fan base, I think, has had enough of Pat McAfee on commentary. So that's really my take there. I know you guys were looking for some other takes, and I'll probably have some more coming here from this, but this was something that was on my mind, and I really was like, this is an interesting dynamic with Pat, because he's, like I said, an incredible athlete, very dynamic personality. But it's one of those that once it's like in some ways, to make a weird comparison, in some ways, this is a little bit like Jey Uso. You've got a personality who can be endearing, but at a certain point, you realize you've tapped out or tapped into that a little bit too much. And I think that's what's happened with Jey Uso a little bit, where we love Jey Uso. We think he's very entertaining, but it gets to a point where you're overexposing and you're really like kind of, I'm not saying making him unlikable, but it's just gotten to a point where it's like, I don't know if we need to see it anymore. I don't know if we need to see Jey Uso in the main event anymore. I don't even know if we need to see Pat McAfee on commentary full time anymore. So that's my take on that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.